Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to, don't worry, I'm with you, to Fat Cat Collections. Today, guys, want to do just kind of a reaction video to one of my hated YouTubers out there. And I just want to just kind of give, just for fun, my reaction to his video. He just picked up a new Rolex GMT Master 2, reference number 126710, I guess the BLNR watch. Now, he had originally, we're talking about Pistifer from It's Constipated. Now, again, you guys know, I always say buy what you like, buy what makes you happy. And I'm just going to give my, opinion about this, some of the things he's saying about it, give my rebuttal, and then I also have a watch we're going to talk about today as well. And again, the point of this video here is really just to, again, kind of reiterate how watch reviewers really don't know what they're talking about, a lot of them. And they just say things that if the average person hearing it will just automatically assume like, oh, well, that's got to be true, and it's not. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to give my rebuttal. Just kind of a fun video for my subscribers. So again, if you're not familiar with It's Constipated's YouTube channel, he's a dude, me and him had words years ago. He's an absolute Invicta hater. And the thing is that, like I said before, you don't have to like Invicta, of course, but you can be cordial about it. But guys like this are just exactly the reason why I can't stand a lot of YouTube watch reviewers, because they really just make things up as they go, and they really just constantly contradict themselves, and they're really pretty hypocritical. Again, I've called this dude out many times, talking about how much he loved fake watches, and then he'll do a video years later that he forgets that he said those things, and then mentions how you shouldn't wear a fake watch. It says a lot about the person. Just a very arrogant, pompous prick, in my opinion. So I just wanted to, again, do this video because I want to rain on this guy's parade. Now, again, some of you might say, "Oh, well, why waste your time?" Fresh content is fresh content, and this guy is such a troll that I just wanted to again set the record straight. This guy's reviewed Invicta Watches before, was completely false about some of the things he said about. I remember he did a Sea Hunter review and showing off the crown protector and how it didn't close. It just really over embellished the negative things he had to say about it. For the average guy watching that video would think, oh man, Invicta's a really poor brand. Just complete fake news. So let's go ahead and listen to it, and I encourage you guys to watch it as well.
Now the case is that Rolex Oyster Steel, that's their 904L steel, and they say you can wear this thing into the ocean, you come out of it, it's not gonna hurt the steel, which is a big treat if you really know what you're talking about when it comes to the Rolex 904L. It is cooler than a lot of people think it is.
No, it's not. It's not cooler, and it's only cooler because guys like this make things up. 904 stainless steel, you can wear 316 stainless steel in the ocean, come out, and not have to worry about it. Salt water is extremely corrosive. You don't want to leave salt water on even 904 stainless steel. The only advantage 904 stainless steel has is that it's slightly more corrosion resistant to acidics, okay? And there's plenty of information on YouTube, or not on YouTube, on Google, that you can find talking about the hardness of 904, some of the advantages of 904, and realistically, like I said before, the only advantage you're going to have to 904 stainless steel is if that watch ends up on the bottom of the ocean, it might be a little more corrosive, a little less corroded than a 316. But remember, even any stainless steel, 316, 904, is going to corrode in time if you leave it in salt water. And it's pretty ridiculous to me to hear somebody say that you just have to not worry about it. No, this is a very expensive watch, okay? And I believe, I don't know what he actually paid for it, but in the gray market, I think he said they're going for about $22,000, $23,000. Said he paid retail. I would think that's 18 to 20, somewhere in there. Again, I'm not a Rolex expert at all, so it's still a lot of money for a watch. Just again, this is how watch reviewers take a watch that they really like and they will over embellish. I'm not saying that he doesn't love this watch, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is they will make excuses and embellish and over elaborate on things that on any other watch it would be no big deal. So again, you don't want to wear any watch in the salt water and then just leave it. Salt water should be should be rinsed off anything that goes into the ocean that you get it on. Plain simple. Fishing gear, whatever it is, rinse it off, okay? But I can tell you, based on this video, that the attitude is that the idea that they're the kind of the information this guy's putting out there is that you can go into the ocean, wear this, not worry about it. You can do that with any 3/16 stainless steel watch as well. Just rinse it off when you're done. That's it.
It's bezel bi-directional, so it goes one way or another, and it goes around 24 times. If you guys know Rolex, you guys know that crystal is a sapphire crystal, so it's really never gonna scratch.
Okay, that's completely false. It is a sapphire crystal. You can get sapphire crystals on watches that cost $150. There's nothing unique about a sapphire crystal. Some folks really appreciate sapphire crystals in that they just have I guess they feel better about knowing that they have the most scratch resistant crystal when it comes to, you know, the different crystals used in watches, but it's never going to scratch is not correct. You can scratch sapphire, it's just more scratch resistant than some of the other ones. Flame Fusion, K1, Cristerna, what else we got there? Hardlex, stuff like that. I can tell you of all the different crystals that I have, sapphire, Hardlex, K1, Flame Fusion, Cristerna, I've never scratched any of them. So unless you're super abusive to your watches, that might be something to worry about. Remember also that when you get a harder more scratch resistant crystal, you also have a crystal that's more susceptible to shattering. So the harder it is, more scratch resistant, less resistant to shattering. Softer it is, more shatter resistant. So kind of balance out what you think is more important. I don't give a shit. I've never had any problems with any of them. The only time I had a problem with the crystal is when I was changing the battery of my old Geneve Elegante, and I went to lean on it to get the case back. Again, yes, very stupid. Lean on it. I should have bought the tool to pop the case back in, and I crunched the crystal. So, yeah, not my brightest moment there, but you know, it wasn't a $20,000 watch either.
The crown there is pretty much exactly the same as the other GMT Master 2 that I had, and many Rolexes alike. And
many fake Rolex watches alike as well. The crown looks no different than some of the $50 DH-Gate fakes. Let me strike that. A little bit different. Most people would not be able to tell the difference. They're so similar.
Caseback, also classic Rolex caseback. No see-through or anything, no engraving.
Okay, that's called an exhibition case back, but that's fine.
Let's talk about the dial and the hands, though.
Let's do that.
The black on that dial, it's just a very deep, rich black.
Okay, black is deep and rich. All black is deep, okay? Look, okay, so here we go. So look at my Thyssen watch here. This was $50. So here's my Batman. Look at the deep, rich black. There is no difference between this black and that black. It is black. There's no deep, rich black. You either have texture or you don't. You either have matte black or shiny black. This black looks no different. So it's amazing how guys will just like nut in their pants for this kind of watch, and when you can get that for $50. The deep, rich black. Get the fuck out of here.
You see between the Swiss and the Made how there's that crown. That was an addition when they brought out the new BLNRs with the Jubilee bracelet, once they did add that updated movement to this watch before they added that Oyster.
I'll just pause it real quick there. So, nothing to really say about the addition of the crown between Swiss Made. I don't even know why it's even worth mentioning. If anything, it creates more confusion for people or more confusion for people to actually distinguish between the real ones and the fake ones, because now people are going to be like, oh, well, did it have the crown? What year was it? What model number? Just more confusing.
And then if you look at the Rehot, it still has the Rolex engraving all the way around there.
So the Rolex watches have the Rolex name engraved across the inside of the dial, or kind of right underneath the bezel there. My fake Rolex has that too.
Crown right there above the 12 o'clock marker. Check out the looms here. It's going to be pretty unbelievable how
Loom is
bright
good.
That is, and that was only charged with a flashlight for maybe a minute, and just look at that brightness. Just look at it. I'm
looking at it. Calm down, dude. The loom is great. Absolutely. The loom is definitely far superior to a Thyssen, to any Invicta watch, unless they're using something like what's the the radioactive one. I'm drawing a blank right now. But unless you have tritium. So the lume on a Rolex is going to be superior to 99% of the Invicta watches out there, to a lot of different watches. However, the lume is not superior to my Addy's dive. It's right on par for $160. And of course, my Aqua dive, which is more expensive watch, around the $2,000 price point. The lume is, they're on par. So.
Hour hand is pretty typical Rolex hour hand. Same with that minute hand. Same with the second hand. Of course, it says Rolex Oyster Perpetual Date, GMT Master 2, etc., etc. Now, what's great about the bezel insert here? Let me talk about how great that is. It's a blue, but it's such a dark blue, but it's not bright enough. I mean, it's, how do I put it? It's very noticeably blue. Okay,
it's blue, dude. It's just fucking blue. Plain and simple. When I look at this side by side, again, the watch isn't here in front of me. That blue is just like this blue. It's like a matte, it's sort of like a dull royal blue, right? It's not, it's just amazing how these guys get all hopped up on a watch that's pretty friggin' boring, right?
Okay, but when you're wearing this watch, it's never going to stick out as anything. And look how dark that blue is compared to how dark the dial is. It's incredible. It's
how is that incredible?
Brighten it up, the blue gets a little brighter.
How is that incredible? This guy is acting like this is some kind of like BASF chameleon paint job on this thing. There's nothing spectacular about this. Blue and black. Boring as hell. Don't get me wrong. I still like it. I got my Thyssen. But there's nothing over the top unique about a blue and black watch. Nothing. There's nothing spectacular about that blue. There's nothing spectacular about that black. This is, again, a guy who's just like coming in his pants reviewing this watch as if it's something unique. This is not unique, folks. This is $50. It looks exactly the frigging same.
You darken that dial up, the blue gets a little darker, almost like a camouflage blue. It's something really, I think,
what does that even fucking mean? A camouflage blue? That makes 0 sense.
That only Rolex can pull off.
No, blue and black is not something that only Rolex can pull off. Every other brand who makes a Batman homage pulls off blue and black. It's nothing unique. There's nothing special about it.
Comes to something like this. You gotta love the Cyclops for the date too. And if you guys don't know me, I'm real big on always having a date on my watch. I just always want to know what day it is.
It's important.
If it's the 17th as it is now, I would like to know it's the 17th.
Oh!
I don't want to have to pull my phone out of my pocket and look here, or ask somebody, or look there, etc. I would just like to know what the date is.
Well, that's
so between having
great.
that GMT.
Well, that's definitely an amazing option to have. Definitely very important, you know, and because you have to spend $20,000 to know what day it is. I get it. I got it.
And you got the date function. Ooh. You got the bi-rotating bezel here. There's just a lot of functions on this.
No, there's not a lot of functions. There is the time, the GMT to GMT watch, so you have the GMT feature and you have the date. That's it. There's no special functions. This is not a Casio Mudmaster. This is a basic Rolex watch that tells the time, gives you the date, has the ability to use the bezel in a bi-directional fashion, and a Cyclops. Like, this is not something that's state-of-the-art, folks.
This Rolex timepiece. And it is really just an absolute... It's a gorgeous piece. It's gorgeous. Let me see if I can compare the blacks. It's going to be hard on the phone.
No, it's not hard on the phone. It's not hard on the phone.
So here...
Whoops. It's not hard on the phone at all. So he's comparing now a Seiko watch to the Rolex, right? They both are black, okay? If one is a little bit lighter, it's because it's a lighter shade of black. There's nothing spectacular about black.
About that Rolex black. Well, there's the Rolex black on the right, of course, versus the Seiko black on the left there. And the Rolex black is just its own thing. It is so dark. It's so sharp. It makes the watch pop, and other watches just can't do what this Batman is doing.
No, other watches can do that. 99% of the watches on Earth can have a black face and look black. That's not. I don't know if this guy has got some kind of mental problem or what. This is a black-faced watch. This is not something only Rolex can pull off. There are thousands and thousands of watches with black faces that look exactly like this. This guy is absolutely delusional.
An amazing piece. There's so many things I can keep going on and on and on about, but I don't think you guys want to fall asleep.
Thank you.
There on the clasp.
Thank you.
Check out the bracelet. It is on the Oyster. It does have those polished center links. It's very nice. Here's the clasp. Flip it this way.
Is that a stamped clasp? Appears to
There's
be.
the clasp.
I don't know if it is.
Click
Looks
this
like
clasp on. It's kind of like a double lock. Like you gotta push this up, that goes down, right? It's already locked, and then push that down, that clicks. Gotta kind of lift this up to get it back. You could just push it down.
I'll tell you, the clasp on the Rolex watch absolutely is nicer than my my Thyssen here. The Thyssen watch is definitely not as smooth as that one, but it ought to be. It costs $20,000.
Push this down, and you're good to go.
Good to go.
There's the watch on the wrist, and boy, I mean, it just brand new, an absolute pleasure. Just something pretty much bucket list material. Let me tell you, when you have a brain disease like I do, the kind of bucket list, this is, you want to scratch that off, and it's scratched off. You know, the watch thing, the collection is now more of a game than it is a challenge.
Not to be mean, but I'm glad he addressed the problem.
And that's going to wrap it up for this episode.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of What the Fuck. Seriously, guys, this is exactly the delusional mindset of guys who are absolute watch snobs who just rationalize their own purchases, right? Now, again, I wouldn't come out and make a video like this just to anybody. This guy has been an absolute douchebag to many of my subscribers, to myself included. And you know what? That's totally fine. Not everybody's going to agree on what they like. And more power to this guy for getting something that he really wants. And, you know, that's great. But let's not fool ourselves here, folks. There is nothing over-the-top unique about a Batman by Rolex, right? This watch is a beautiful watch, absolutely. But it's no more beautiful than this Thyssen. What it is more refined than this Thyssen. Under macro lens, absolutely, you're going to see the finishing, the attention to detail, and how each one of those parts go together, and the attention to detail in the finishing. And what I mean by that is when you look at a watch like that under macro lens, where when you look at something like this and it's mirror polished on like a lot of the indices, when you look at this, you're probably going to see a little bit of a graininess to it, or a little bit of like, I don't want to use the word craters, but you're going to see more texture in those pieces. Whereas Rolex watches, they're just finished, and how you finish something like that, it just means that when these little pieces are polished, whatever part we're looking at, it just means they're polished with what you consider like a finer material, right? To get it just even, it's like buffing your car, right? You finish off with different layers in order to really get that polish a lot finer. You know, like when you're wet sanding or when you're polishing a headlight, for instance, that's been kind of yellowed and kind of distorted over the years. You use different layers to bring that polish shiny again, right? To bring that finish shiny again. Rolex just takes it a step further where they really focus on things that you can't see with the naked eye, right? That's really the only difference. Movement, of course, naturally, a movement in a Rolex watch is going to be a higher quality movement than this Thyssen. But it doesn't mean that movement's going to last forever. It doesn't mean this one's not going to last forever. There's hit or miss with anything. Of course, a Rolex watch is going to be of a higher quality level than this Thyssen. Now, I can't say that there's not a guy out there. What would you say if a guy out there said, yeah, I have my Rolex, it failed. My Thyssen hasn't failed, so you can have good and bad luck with anything. Of course. And I want to be very clear on this. The Rolex is finished to a higher level of detail and precision with more care taken, of course. But you are looking at a $20,000 watch. It has to be. It ought to be. But it is not finished to a degree that makes it worth $20,000. What it's actually worth is about $700. Realistically, if you have to look at the amount of time that goes into making that watch, they're not handmade. A lot of them are assembled by hand using machines. Okay, there's a lot of like misconception that all Rolex watches are some guy finishing every little part and putting everything together. They're not. And they couldn't be because they make so many watches. You would not have the manpower to do that. And if they did, being handmade doesn't make something better. People cannot do things with the precision that machines can. They just can't. And so we need to get out of that mindset that handmade is better, that Swiss made is better. This is all old mindsets, okay? So ultimately, buy what makes you happy. At least this watch definitely makes him happy. But also realize that you do not have to spend $20,000 to get a watch that's going to be of exceptional quality. You have to spend $50. You can get an amazing watch for $50. And side by side, when you compare these two, the only thing that's going to really set that other watch apart is the fact that it says Rolex. To the naked eye, you are going to be hard pressed to find a difference. And to me, if you have to take a watch and really go over it and examine it with a fine-tooth comb, to me, spending $20,000 as opposed to $50, it should be a night and day difference. And these guys lie to you. It is not. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that fun little video. Have a great day and take care.